Hi everyone, welcome back to JPWHU Radio with me, your host John Phillips, also known as JP. Today's podcast, we are discussing the news that broke earlier on Saturday afternoon that David Sullivan has now stepped down as West Ham United chairman. There's a lot of conjecture over it, so let's try and sift through everything. So if you want to support me, become a Patreon and hopefully ensure better content. But in the meantime, let's get to it. Now, this was meant to be just purely a YouTube-only content, but EE are taking so bloody long to upload it, then I thought I'd discuss it as a podcast as well, so you got double exposure. But yes, around about lunchtime on Saturday afternoon, it was announced that David Sullivan has stood down with immediate effect as chairman of West Ham United because of the pending allegations as to his business practices, shall we say, way before we got into football. And yeah. So what does this mean for West Ham United? Now, obviously, these allegations are pending from his porno days, when he was involved in the Daily Star and Penthouse magazine, I think it was, etc., etc. So nothing to do with West Ham United in any shape or form. So that's good from that point of view. But what does it mean from West Ham United? Now, as I say, he stepped down with immediate effect, but that does not mean that he has left the club because he is still a joint shareholder of West Ham United with Kretinsky and Trip Smith, etc., etc. So, what does this mean? Well, really, to be honest with you guys, not a lot, to be honest with you, because, as I said, he's still in charge of the club, albeit he's not. He's standing down. It's basically in paper terms only that he is stepping away. He's still going to obviously have conversations with the board. I don't think he's going to be making any of the decisions as a result because he's stepping down as chairman. But at the same point, guys, as I say, until we find out that the news that his shares are up for sale, then there is absolutely no chance in hell that David Sullivan is going anywhere long term. But as I say, he's standing down because of allegations. So whatever happens with this court case, which should probably take years, knowing the media, then yeah, he's still going to be a shareholder, but he's going to be silent, basically. He's going to be silent majority, co-majority shareholder, because he isn't majority shareholder in the literal sense, because he doesn't own more than 51% of the club. But he will be joint with Kretinsky. I think he's got like 39% ownership, and Kretinsky could be buying more shares from him. That will be very needed in the coming season down in the Championship. But yeah, as I say, guys, this is not news to be getting too much blown away by, because at the end of the day, guys, he is still a shareholder at West Ham United. He'll still have control of the club. Just be very, very silent. He's been pretty silent over the last couple of years. Anyway, now as we talked about when Karen Brady stepped down, she knew this was coming. 100% knew this was coming, so she's distanced herself from the club and David Sullivan as quickly as possible, and now David Sullivan is distancing himself from the club as well because he doesn't want any unfair any unfair publicity aimed at West Ham United when this has got nothing to do with the time that he was involved in West Ham United. As I say, this is more down to the facts of probably the 80s and early 90s, even before he bought Birmingham City, along with David Gold, God rest his soul. So as I say, you can't really talk about too much of it because the news is literally broke a couple of hours ago. Well, I say a couple of hours ago, it was 4 by the time this goes up. The video over on YouTube will be available at some point today. I just have no idea when, because it's apparently taking 3 hours to upload. Thank you, EE. Guys, if anybody's got EE broadband, please move as quickly as possible because it's ridiculous. The upload speed apparently is fine. It's very, very, very strong and fast upload speed, but apparently it's only the YouTube app is only uploading a quarter of the upload speed. So maybe it's an app issue. It certainly isn't Wi-Fi, that's for sure. But yeah, so for some reason, it took over an hour for me to put the video up the other day to say that I was back, and this is now taking 3 hours. Now, part of it is because it's on a 4K resolution, but guys, for those that know me well enough, I mean, not many of you podcast listeners will, but I like to keep up to date with technology, and uploading 4K makes complete sense nowadays. I know not everybody views on 4K, but you know, the technology is available for a reason, so therefore we should use it correctly. That's what a real Luddite is, and I'm going off topic again. But yes, as I say, one of the reasons why I'm going off topic, guys, is I'm very, very angry that this has taken so long. I wanted to do a podcast to fill you in by the time the video goes up. But go check it out over on YouTube, JPWHU TV, I should say, JPWHU TV over on YouTube. You'll get to see the content. But yeah, so as I say, in the short term, it doesn't really make much of a difference at this point, because I'm sure that once the allegations are all done and his name's been absolved, I should say, then there's a potential that he'll be back. I say, because he's still a shareholder, so but he's obviously resigned his commission, so to speak. He's resigned from the club, but he still has the shares at this point. If the shares do become available and they started to be sold, then guys, I will talk about that as well, because that's the medium to long term plan, which kind of goes back to the content we talked about the other day about having a long term future plan at West Ham United. Is this the start of it? I hope so. I really do. We could certainly do with the money, that's for sure, once the sale of his shares go in, because at the end of the day, guys, I say we are fucking skint. Skint is not an understatement. Brassic doesn't even come to cover the debt that we're in at the moment. But I say, to have David Sullivan's shares bought outright, either by a consortium or maybe by Kretinsky himself, or maybe even somebody else on top of that, that would really, really help the West Ham United's financial position tenfold. I say, because he's got a 39% stake in the club. I mean, a share has got to be a good few thousand each, surely. You know, we're looking at a good few million here to buy out David Sullivan, and a good few million is exactly what the clubs need. And what I mean is, I'm not talking about 2 or 3 million. I'm not even talking 10, 15 million. I'm talking 2, maybe 300 million. Basically, how much the club debt is in general, in total, to cover David Sullivan's shares. I reckon that's round about the figure that they would go for, but we will talk about that if that ever does come up. This is just my off-the-cuff thinking on it at the time, guys. But as I say, medium term, David Sullivan's silent. Still a shareholder, still going to have in conversations with the club, probably away from the board in other shape or form, but I guarantee he's going to be involved in negotiations. Now, of course, once more information comes out, I'll either on YouTube or here on the podcast, I'll let you guys know what the situation is there. But as it stands at the moment, guys, this is the start. Everybody thought the departure of Karen Brady was the start, and to a degree it was. Of course, we talked about it at the time. But at the same point, I do think that this is the proper start of the future for West Ham United. If it's going to be bright or if it's going to be dark is another question. That's a whole new subject. But I do genuinely think that this is the start of what we hope is going to be the not rebranding of West Ham, I hate that term, but the relaunch, the rebirth, whatever you want to look at it, of the future of the club. Because at the same guy, this is we're at the fork in the road here. Well, technically crossroads if you think about it properly. We can go left, you can go right, we can keep going straight down the road that we have been for the last 15 years. Personally, I'd like us to fork off to the left and have a bit more of a vision and get somebody in that is going to bring balance and stability to the club, because that's, at the end of the day, appointing Nuno to stay on as manager is, again, start of stability within the club. While we're talking about that, let's just go off a bit topic, because obviously some other news is broken over the last few days. This, again, wasn't discussed on YouTube. The content on YouTube is purely my reaction to David Sullivan stepping down. It appears that, as we've talked about before, Mateus Fernandez's asking price is still staying at £80 million. Basically, this is a hands-off to everybody that wants to buy him, thinking they're going to get him cheap in the Championship. It's a good move. It's a good move to try and keep him. I know, there's a good chance that Fernandez is not going to be happy playing in the Championship. He's got a very, very bright future ahead of him, and But at the same point, it looks like Adam Traore's all but gone. Depends on what Nuno wants, because as we know, his contract finished at the end of this season. He's still in a little bit of limbo. Callum Wilson is pretty much departed as well, for that matter. It's obviously once there's now obviously we're starting to be linked with defenders and midfielders from other clubs. Some players I've never heard of, and which is not a bad thing. We never heard of Tommy Soucek before he came in. We never heard of Vladimir Soufal as well either before he came in. A few of us knew of Carl Walker-Peters, but so just because it's a name doesn't just because it's not a name doesn't mean that it's not going to be a good deal. Hopefully, again, as I say, we've had Max Hahn resign over the last week or so to step down as coach. There's a lot of shuffles going on, especially now. There's a hell of a lot of shuffling going on in the boardroom, and basically everywhere from pitch upwards, quite frankly. And this has been a long time coming. Really has been a long time coming. Long-term solution is basically, as I say, find some stability and get some information out there as quickly as possible that what the club is going to be doing long-term. I don't think any of us will believe it if we ever do have a official club statement. I certainly won't, because we've heard this time and time again. But at the same point, guys, I do genuinely think that we are going to be in for a very, very roller coaster next 12 months minimum. Absolutely next 12 months minimum. We just don't know what's happening day in, day out at the moment, which is not a bad thing. It's nice to not know. There's obviously the usual speculation of crap stories coming out left, right and centre. But if you want to hear the actual facts here, guys, then by all means, please do subscribe to the podcast. Please do go over to JPWHU TV on YouTube as well and subscribe to there, because I'm going to try and make some content to correlate online with the podcast. I think the podcast content may be a little bit longer, but then again, the YouTube videos may be a little bit longer. I don't know. I haven't really made my mind up on that. I'm still trying to figure out I've been doing content on YouTube for many, many years, but my personal scenario over the last 9 to 10 months has really changed. So, I'm really back to basics at the minute. The computer's fucked, to say the least. It's fuckta, I should say. To say the least. That needs fixing. Once that's fixing, you'll get a lot better podcast and a lot better videos on YouTube as well. But at the same point, guys, I can't do that without your support, because as much as I'm trying to do every penny to get into it, I need your support as well. So become a Patreon, less than £1 a month for added bonuses and unedited content. But guys, thank you very, very much for listening. I'm not going to waffle on for too much longer. That's basically the salient of the last 7 days from a West Ham perspective. But guys, thank you very much for listening. Please do, please do become a Patreon if you want to support me. Please do subscribe to the podcast as well. The more, and please do share it on all platforms as well, for that matter, because the more people that get impressions on this, then the more I'll be able to get some sort of money from the platforms, and every penny helps. It really genuinely does. It's very difficult for everybody. It's very difficult for me at the moment. I'm looking for another job as it stands at the moment. So yeah, I need every penny I can get. And as I say, guys, I do this out of my own free will and my own free time. So if you're enjoying it, then please do help me with any support you can. I mean, you don't have to do the point. As I say, it's literally like £3.60 a month over on Patreon, and that is the full level. I've kept it as low as I possibly can for you guys. But guys, thank you very, very much for listening. Apologies for waffling on, as I genuinely do. I'll try, as I say, when there's more information coming out about this, I'll keep you guys updated as quickly as I possibly can. Obviously, I don't want to be doing podcast after podcast every single day. So if unless it's absolutely breaking news, and if something comes out over the next couple of days, then you'll hear from me, because I won't do it. I'll only try and do it once a day. So guys, in the meantime, have a fantastic weekend or starts of the week, depending on when you're listening to this, and I will speak to you very, very soon. All the best now. Take care.